Those are my top 10 tools that I can't live without. And I will tell you exactly why, so that you have the best chance to make those concepts work for yourself. The first one is at the same time my most useful one, as well as the most useless one. Let's find out how down in the dining room. So I do have the Notes app installed on my phone, and I use it quite frequently, but the first success tool that I want to talk about is actually this, a physical notebook. Actually, somewhere in London, there's a box with about 40 of those lying around, because I've used those type of notebooks for my entire career. And the way I use it is that I've written down one thing after another. I can wake up and talk about my dreams, and then maybe that's a shopping list. Then there are some thoughts about somebody's promotion, and maybe then I've got a worry that I want to write down, and then there is a creative idea. And you could say, well, that's the most useless way to use it, because you can't search for it, you will probably never find something. And that's true, but at the same time, it became my most useful tool ever. Because the very fact that I write something down, first of all, clears my brain so I can focus on what I need to do right now in that moment. The second is, if it's just something that I wanted to write down to remember, I go back and I put it somewhere in notes or somewhere onto my computer. And the third is that my brain now remembers something was important enough for me to write it down. And when I come across a situation, there's probably 10 more ways how I can find the information, but my brain already knows that it's important. The second tool I have on my phone is the YouTube app, and that might not be surprising given that you're watching a YouTube video. But let me tell you why I'm having it and how I use it over there. The reality is that in 99% of the cases, I'm not even logged into my professional YouTube account. I'm logged into my private account, and I mainly use that to learn things. Yes, it's a great way to get familiar with other leadership concepts, career development, how to edit YouTube videos, and so much more. And what I'm trying to do is make time for that every day. And it's one of the biggest success factors. Clearly, there are professions that need a qualification, such as being a doctor, for all of our sakes, and other professions may be best learned on the job itself. So you have to make a decision what works for you. For me, YouTube is a great platform to do this. For you, something else makes sense, but make sure that even if you have undergone an education, even if you are already in a job, you keep learning, you keep abreast of the developments, because it's one of the biggest contributors of success. And then there is LinkedIn. We probably talk best about that in the office. As much as we want to be individuals, we live in connection with others. LinkedIn is my app of choice, and it's because I value some of the opinions people put up there. You may be a photographer and opt for Instagram, but the essence is we need connection to be successful. See where your audience is. Now you may say, hey, I'm no YouTuber, I don't have an audience. You do have an audience. With any job you do, you serve a particular kind of person. Make sure you hang out where they are, and that will make you successful. Okay, books. There are 1,000 videos about the benefits of reading, and they are mostly correct. So what I want to focus on is more how we read. There is a reason why I have iBooks on my phone and not Blinkist or Shortform. Now, don't get me wrong, I've actually tried Blinkist for more than a year myself. I found it really useful, and there are great tools if you just want to get the essence of a book and the lessons learned and then move on. But there is one part that I personally was missing out on, and that is the little anecdotes and the stories and the thoughts the author has in each of the chapters. They don't find themselves into the summaries because it's just fluff, but it's exactly this fluff that makes my creative brain starts to work. Now suddenly I make connections to how some of those concepts I can apply to my own life, and that is something that I could never get from those summaries. The next one on the list, ChatGPT. Why? Well, it's a no-brainer. It makes a lot of my day-to-day activities much less cumbersome. Writing an email, I see if I can let ChatGPT make it more concise so I'm not wasting anyone's time. Want to research a topic? Well, I get a free sparring partner just to kick around some ideas. And you can even apply it to career challenges or career change if you know what you're doing. Which brings me to the how. Learn to interact properly with ChatGPT. This has become a huge industry with loads of AI tools who promise you to make you the best marketer, the best scriptwriter, or the best video producer. And all these tools do is they're breaking down what you really want into actionable steps that ChatGPT understands. So you can certainly pay for those tools, but I found that it becomes far more versatile if you learn how to interact properly and spend some time testing it as well. This is where I changed my $20 a month subscription to one of the made for you services to a $20 subscription to ChatGPT 4. And I never looked back. Seriously, if you can afford it, pay for it because it's so much better than the free version. And also so much better than most of the other apps that are on offer. Again, if you know what you're doing. By the way, because I tested it and I tried it out, I also created a version of a ChatGPT for careers. So it's essentially made for you. Check it out if you want. A link is down in the description. And as you're already down in the description anyway, and if you get value out of this video, I appreciate if you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't done so already, that way we can see each other more often. One other thing I wouldn't want to live without is a mentor or a friend. Somebody who gets you, but also somebody who challenges you. We've already talked about the need for connection. But you also need someone specific to have a much deeper connection than maybe social media platforms allow. It is this friend or mentor who tells you when you're doing great. And it's also the friend who tells you when you are being an idiot. I have this friend who has a pixelated face, so you know exactly who I'm talking about. And sometimes he tells me that I'm an idiot. And I do things anyway. And that's okay. Because it's all about that discussion you are having. And you know that regardless of what happens, they will be there for you. And honestly, if you want this kind of friendship, just be that person. Seriously. The next tool on the list that I can't live without is not my meditation app, but it's close. It is coffee. Our body needs time to recover, and so does our mind. And for me, sitting down with my cup of coffee gives me a moment to be still and let my mind wander, and that usually gives me a creativity boost. For you that may be different, it might be meditation, reading, or something else. But if you are a high achiever, it's quite likely that time is precious, and having a still moment usually comes last on our list. Though, if you want to keep up that success, you need to actively plan for it. I used to be into very nice watches, you know, the kind that make you proud to own one. But then, I think it was in 2019, Apple released their Series 5 watch. I hated the idea at first, but now I thought, let's try it out. And within a year, I worked out consistently and without fail. They say you become what you measure. And this simple device helped me measure my activities. Yes, I like some of the other features of my latest version, but the real reason I put on my Apple Watch every day is that it keeps me honest. Exercise does contribute immensely to success. And you don't need an Apple Watch. You just need a system that helps you to be consistent and that keeps you honest. During all my time when I was working in finance, I rarely paid attention to my own finances. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't clueless or reckless, but my time was just much better spent elsewhere. And even when I had more time later on, I wanted to keep it simple. Now, in my case, I have a bank account with Revolut that helps me to keep all my budgeting and all my records in one place. And then I've got a very simple list in Notion, and that has all other accounts and investments. Now, Revolut, I check daily, maybe for 20 seconds, just to make sure that there are no unexpected surprises. And for my investments, well, Maybe I dedicate an hour or two every other month or so. Don't ignore your finances. But don't believe anyone who wants you to believe it's super complicated, because it's not. There are great resources on YouTube that can teach you the basics. And after that, if you're a high achiever and you're successful, your energy is best spent in your profession, rather than figuring out how to get that extra 1% better return by switching a bank account or something like that. The final tool I can't live without are emails. They are the second best way to keep connected with people, other than a phone call. But of course, it's less intrusive and can be equally effective if you know what you are doing. Maybe you think this is a waste of time, but every time I write an email, I go through it again for the only purpose to make it shorter. The best way to do this is, number one, give them the bottom line up first. It sets up your email as concise and to the point. And then number two, see if you can shorten your explanation by at least 50%. Remember what Mark Twain said. He said, "I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead." If you take the time to write a short email instead, people will actually read your stuff and they will appreciate you more. So those are the 10 tools I can't live without. Did I miss anything? Let me know. And apart from tools, we also need skills. So if you haven't seen it before, have a look at this video over here. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.